I always get nervous before this one. It's like, it's funny, but
Me too.
Hello, everyone. I am Katya Nicholas, CliftonStrengths coach, and I'm joined here today by Diana, my great friend whom I met actually back in San Francisco. And now Diana is a co-founder and full-time adventurer, as well as the co-star of this amazing, is it, Diana, what is it, TV, what do you call this, TV show?
YouTube
channel, Adventurous Way. Hi, Diana. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well.
Where are you now?
Right now we are in Idaho.
Wow. Awesome. And you are, I can tell that you're sitting actually in your RV right now, recording?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, this is our home, and we've been here for a year and a half and traveling all around the United States in it.
This is amazing. Before we jump into the idea behind Adventurous Way, can you actually tell the audience where you're from? How did you get to the States? You know, how did you get to the point where you're now?
Yeah, sure. So I'm originally from Latvia, a small country in Eastern Europe. And I came to the United States to go to college. And I studied computer science and math. And then after graduation, so that was in Massachusetts. And after graduation, I got a job at Google, and that moved me out to San Francisco. And that's where I worked for 8 years before quitting the job and traveling full time.
What was it like to quit Google to just go on adventure?
I mean, really hard. Really hard because, I mean, the pay is really well, and San Francisco and California is also a nice place to live. You know, we talk a lot about the golden handcuffs, that you earn the money, and then there's always more promotions and more stock units granted and all that. And it's, the future always seems it's always going to be more and more and more. But then, at which point do you stop? At which point is it enough? And for me and my boyfriend, Matt, it felt like, now's the time while we are still young and we can hike and do all this physical activity and explore now, because Google always going to be there. Like, if we stop liking this, we can always go back.
Yeah. Does Matt did he also work at Google? It's not how
No, he worked at Expedia, and for Hotwire brand of Expedia in San Francisco.
And Matt is also not from the United States, right? How did you meet?
So he's British. We met in San Francisco while playing squash, and it was 10 days after he moved to San Francisco.
That's so amazing. So how did this whole idea of this, travel, actually tell the audience what, so you guys are visiting national park units, right?
Yeah.
I remember the last time I saw with you, which was about 2 years ago, right? In New York. To visit, you were telling me that there are 400 units, if I remember correctly, and you were estimating that you would need 3 years to visit those. Do I remember this correctly?
Yes, that is what we thought at the time, and that is completely not true.
Oh, really?
So there are the big national parks like Yosemite, Yellowstone, and so on, and that's about 60 of them. But then there are all these national monuments, national seashores, national recreational areas, and all those, when you add all those managed by National Park Service, that adds up to 419. And we thought it might take 3 years if you kind of calculate how many units per number of days. But it turned out we are visiting them much, much slower than we thought. Part of the reason that is that we actually really enjoy spending more time in each place instead of just kind of tagging the visitor center and saying that we've been there. Like, we really like exploring there. So some of the places we spent a whole week just hiking in the same place. The other aspect of that is turned out we really enjoy sharing our experiences,
Mm-hmm.
like with the YouTube channel and
Mm-hmm.
also our blog. So the editing process, it just takes really, really long time.
Mm.
And I mean, I knew that it would not be easy, but it is taking a lot longer than I thought. But
Mm.
I really enjoyed it. So I think we kind of came to a conclusion that we rather really explore each place and document it and share it than just quickly tag every
Yeah,
single place.
just like do the check marks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how what inspired you guys to do this? I know you personally love outdoors a lot, but I mean it's like it's such a huge undertaking. Okay, I'm gonna visit all 400, park units. So how did this idea come up for you?
So we both, even before we met, we both like to travel. And then when we met and we started dating, our sort of travel style, we arrived at, we did a lot of road trips.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those road trips were around the national parks. Actually, one of our first trips together was backpacking in Yosemite. That
Very
was just
nice.
a couple months after we met.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of national parks have been a big part of our relationship. And then one year we took a road trip from San Francisco to Utah. It was 2 weeks, and we saw all the they call them Big Five, all the Big Five national parks in Utah, so Zion, Capitol Reef, Bryce, and so on. And it was half in tents and half in staying in hotels. And that was super fun trip. And like 2 weeks for us, like with our jobs, we actually were able to take that. But like some people can't even do that, or
Mm-hmm.
that's just once a year. For us, we were doing stuff every single weekend. But on
Mm-hmm.
that particular trip, it was 10 days and it's just not enough to see all those places. We were just
Mm-hmm.
able to be a day in each place. So then we kind of thought, well, it would be really cool if we saw all the national park units, or like all the national parks, because we have been to already quite a few, and it's just, we really love being in nature and outdoors. And then a little bit later, we went to Hawaii, and we went there to Volcanoes National Park and some other national park units there. Then kind of that idea ballooned into, hey, what if we visit all the national park units?
Mm.
And then it's like, okay, it's 400 of them. It will take forever to do them over the weekends, especially, they're quite far from Bay Area, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the idea morphed into, what if we quit our jobs and do it kind of full time?
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's amazing. So did you do all of the research beforehand, or you were actually researching also things as you go along?
Beforehand, we did a lot of research on like how living in an RV would look like,
Mm-hmm.
because as we did that trip through Utah, we did half camping, half in hotels. And like a lot of those hotels were not nice hotels because it's kind of middle of nowhere next to those parks. So
Mm-hmm.
there aren't that many amenities.
Mm-hmm.
And camping, I guess it's not quite sustainable to do it for 1,
Mm-hmm.
2, 3 years. So then we arrived at the conclusion that RV is probably the best way to accomplish that. So we spent a lot of research. What kind of RV should we get? We rented 3 different RVs to figure out what we like. We did research in how to make it more off-grid, so that we don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be in RV park, but we can camp on public lands, so having solar and batteries.
Mm-hmm.
But then we haven't, so for the researches we do for each particular place that we
Mm-hmm.
visit, that we do as we go.
As
So
you
before
go,
we
yeah.
go, then we research
Yeah.
those places.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I've watched, a few of those videos. I'm sorry, I can't even pronounce this easy word. And I am like, as a photographer, right? I am pretty amazed with the quality you guys are producing. And then I saw
Thank
that
you.
Matt, you're welcome. It's just amazing. It's like, really, I feel like I'm watching, like National Geographic, channel. It's really amazing. And I saw that Matt wrote a whole like blog post about the equipment that you use.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I understand, you guys both are sort of well, he refers to himself as an amateur photographer, and I know you also loved taking pictures. uh, so what have you learned? Like, do you think you will, and you both are so natural even at at least it seems like you're natural at, telling the stories, it's really amazing. So how do you see, what did you learn? Do you feel like you will continue doing, maybe you will come up with another project? Like, what are you learning from this experience?
We are learning that we really love it. So I mean, Matt has been into photography for more than 10 years. I like taking photos, but not as much. So I think some of that equipment side of things came from Matt, because he has used cameras for a long time, and slowly he's been upgrading to better equipment. In terms of like storytelling and how to put videos together, like all that, it came from nothing. I did not know anything about that, and I learned all of it. I think I didn't know this about myself. Like also in the beginning, like we thought, okay, we'll try this. We'll produce 50 videos, and then we'll decide, is this something we like doing or not? Because you need to give it a little bit time to kind of acquire the basic skills. But then after that, does it make sense to do? And it turns out I really like it. I think it ticks part of my brain that I think I always had liked to combine sort of art and technique and technology together. So before that, for me, it was, for example, dancing. Some portion of it is the artistic expression of dance, but a lot of it is about technique and learning how to do things correctly. So I feel this is as an extension to that. There's the visuals, which is more artistic, but then learning the software and learning sort of storytelling skills, like it kind of blends the two together really well, and I really like that.
But I also when I said that I love your storytelling, even like your public speaking skills, like the way it feels that it's so natural for you guys, like like making this presentation and talking about what you are learning and what you're seeing and all of those different things. So it's like like I said, I'm really, really impressed.
So that is the magic of video editing.
Okay.
First of all, it's you're middle of nowhere, hiking and so on. So there isn't really any public. So we're all by ourselves. And then, yes, we are speaking to the camera, but like that's just one portion of the video. The rest of the portion is the visuals. And even some of it is recording voiceover after the fact. So so for me, public speaking is still very, very hard. I had to train over the years to get more comfortable with it. And then same with Matt, like over what he did his job, like he's gotten a lot more comfortable with it. But I would still say that public speaking is hard. For the video, that's just learning how to, for example, one thing that we had to learn is that for video, things just appear more flat than they are in real life. So you have to be a lot more expressive to the camera so that it appears normal when you watch it. So it's similar kind of like in theater. You have to exaggerate emotions, exaggerate the makeup and so on so that it appears normal to the audience. So it's the same, you have to do it on the camera. So we read about that and they're like, that's no way that's true. So then we tried it out. We filmed like 3-4 different versions of us saying the same thing and being completely, absolutely over the top. But then we watch the footage back, it actually looks normal. So so that's one aspect of it. Second aspect, we can do, and we do multiple takes. And in editing, you pick the best one.
That's so good.
So over time, instead of 10 takes, it's now maybe 2-3 takes. So it has gotten better and easier, but it's the magic of editing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can you remind, you did take the Strengths Finder, right? Do you have a learner in your top 5? Do you remember?
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay, of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm not surprised. Okay.
So that for me has been super fun to dive into this completely new field of photo and video and visuals. And so that's, one thing that we learned, and I feel like I will want to continue the documentation aspect and kind of in whatever we are doing in the future, especially nowadays, it seems that, people say video is the future. So I think it's kind of useful skill to have in whatever I end up doing in the future.
By the way, do you actually miss, so you at Google, you were, when you were living, you were a senior software engineer, right?
Yeah.
Which team did you work on?
So I worked over the years. I worked in multiple different teams. First 5 years or so were data infrastructure and database teams, and then after that it was natural language processing for speech team, and then it was applying machine learning to medical field.
Mm-hmm. So do you miss programming?
A little bit here and there, and it's not like I will go back to programming. Like there is many different things and projects and ideas that I want to do with it. Like our website is completely custom built so that we can build in those kind of, I don't know, value added features or calculators and things like that that can help people. And we have those skills to do that. So programming, I've done data analysis. I really like data kind of aspect of it. So I've done that, and I will continue doing more of that. I think for me, it's been really nice to be able to, now it's 1.5 years, to just really dive into video stuff, and also running our own business. So starting from nothing and learning everything about there is to be running your own business, like accounting and business structures and like internet marketing and stuff like that. So I know that I have invested a lot of skills and building my skills in software engineering, and they're always going to be helpful to whatever I do in the future.
Of course.
It's just now it's going to be software engineering skills with business skills or with internet marketing skills or with video skills together. So I don't mind investing some period of time building other skills so that later I can combine them together.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Speaking about internet marketing, I know that you just, was it 2 weeks ago, last week, you hit 5,000 subscribers?
Yes, just hit 5,000 subscribers on YouTube.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And so, and you've been on the road for 18 months, or how long?
Yeah, so we started on July 31st of 2018. So it's, I guess, getting close to 2 years. The first video that we published on YouTube channel was in October of 2018.
Wow, that's amazing. So what do you attribute this, I think it's a rather quick growth, right? It's to get to 5,000. I don't even know the statistics. It's like, how long does it normally take people to get? And how many videos actually do you have on your YouTube channel?
About 80, like 81 or 82, something like that. Yeah, and it's about one video a week. I think it's probably about average growth. Like there are people who do it much faster, and there are people who kind of do it happens slower to them. I think it's on YouTube, the growth can be exponential, like if you stick to it, and there could be like certain events that happen that, suddenly like your growth starts growing much faster. And, some of our friends that have started at the same time, like they hit that. Like there's like one video that just took off and they grew very fast. We haven't hit any of that kind of growth, but it's okay. Like I believe in every channel's life, like it happens at some point. So, it hasn't happened for us yet, and that's totally fine. We have the time to build quality content. And I truly believe that nowadays and on YouTube, that there's so much videos uploaded that you do need to have quality. And that's I guess what I'm betting. Like I want to create very high quality videos so that then when, we get discovered or one video takes off, people discover it and then come back and say, oh yeah, I want to watch more of this.
No, that's amazing. But again, like 5,000, it's a good number.
We felt really happy after hitting the first 1,000 because that felt as a huge milestone. It feels like if you got to 1,000, then you can get to 2,000, you can get to 4, you get to 5, and eventually you can get to 10. But before 1,000, it feels like more iffy. Like, is it going to happen or not?
You also mentioned that you are a dancer. So do you miss that? Did you actually, would you, take a break and do a competition or no?
So with the national parks being mostly in rural areas and not really in the cities, we haven't really spent much time in the cities.
Mm-hmm.
And the dance events happen usually mostly in the cities. Plus then there's like the timing of like when an event happens and when we are in the area. Yeah. So I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now. So I felt like after 20 years of dancing, it's okay if I take a break. So okay. I have only done one. So it was a West Coast Swing is what I did most recently. So it was a West Coast Swing event in LA, and I did go there for a weekend in April last year. Nice. So I mean, it was super fun to kind of see again the people that do the same circuit of the same events around the United States and see them again. So I enjoy when the dates and timings align, but I'm not going completely out of my way to go to those events.
Yeah. So you don't necessarily like miss it, like, oh my God, I can't.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Because you, as a learner, you like learning all of those different new things, and it's like, oh, yes. I can focus on this now. That's amazing.
Plus actually some of it, so in dance, especially West Coast Swing, some of it is improvisation to the music. And it's like listening carefully to the music and seeing how the song develops. Now, when I'm editing videos, I add music to the videos, and then I'm actually also listening to the music and see how I can align the video to the music and like where the beats are and how like cutting to the beat. So it's actually some elements of that has come into the current life as well.
So yeah, so you're bringing that art back in there. You always find a way. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. And I also know, I mean, because whenever we meet, we always talk about books. So how has that been for you? Do you care, like, do you have like a library on your Kindle, or what do you read now?
Yeah, so I had the same Kindle since 2013, and like I still love reading on the Kindle. I still had physical books in the house, so when moving into the RV, I had to get rid of a lot of them, and then a lot of them I kept into the RV, and those was my like priority list of things to read. So as I read it, I donated or left in the RV park and so on. So first year was kind of reading the physical books that I took with me, and some I had to hide it so that Matt doesn't find them and tell me to get rid of them right away.
Where do you hide them in the RV?
Like under the bench seat. There's some space.
You can find places to hide things. This is actually pretty funny.
So yeah, otherwise I read a lot on my Kindle. I think some of my learning has gravitated more towards because I've been learning a lot about video editing. Yes, I read some books on storytelling and business books and so on, but then actually learning the software that I do video learning. So we have a subscription to lynda.com, or that's now learning, and they have really, really good tutorials on like Premiere Pro, Adobe suite of all the different programs that they have. So I'm probably, even though technically maybe I have more time to read, I'm reading about probably the same amount of time books, but I'm spending more time learning through these other ways.
Yeah. Lynda.com is now LinkedIn Learning, right?
Yes,
yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I discovered it, wow, I don't like over 10 years ago. And yes, I absolutely love that library, and I brushed up on all of my tech skills, like Excel, Word, and yes, I remember all of the Adobe Creative Suite software. Also, I learned through that. It's the quality is like, speaking about the quality, their quality is just amazing.
Yes. Yeah. And they have these essential training courses for any software, and you can go watch those, and it will give really, really solid base. And then of course I watch a lot of YouTube for specific things that I want to learn how to do.
Yeah. And going back to that LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com, I also love how I recently noticed that, I mean, for job seekers or, people who want to advance their career, they have this feature where you can sort of do the career path, and then you can tell the software to say like, I want to maybe transition into that career, and it will give you recommendations on which courses to take, and then it puts that once you complete all of this, it puts it on your LinkedIn profile that you have done that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, they have whole like learning paths for like video editors and video production and things like that.
Yeah, that's so cool. Speaking of books, by the way, with all of this, adventures that you've been with this major adventure, but like there are obviously like mini adventures there. Are you guys maybe thinking of writing a book also about this, or has that crossed your mind at all?
So it would not be me, because I don't like writing.
Okay.
That's a big reason why, so Matt mostly does the blog and I do the YouTube channel. So
nice.
One big reason for me for trying out YouTube channels, because it takes me a long time to write, and it's just I don't enjoy it as much, and I felt like it would be too much work to get to the point where I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I don't plan to write a book. But we had thought about maybe, but it's not. It's more likely that we might write a book on particular topics, like, for example, RV, solar, or off-grid solar and electrical systems. More like that kind of knowledge-based books, more so than kind of memoir of the trip. I think especially I think for travel content, visual content, like video format is very amenable format to that. So, maybe at some point we might put like the videos that we made, maybe put them in like, 1 hour, 2 hour long condensed form or something like that, like a documentary or something.
Yeah.
For video, it seems more amenable to that.
Right. But I'm also curious. I mean, there are some of the videos that you have on your channel where it's some challenges you had to overcome. So, and you and I will also always love talking about different life challenges and how we overcome them, and productivity and all of those different things. So, is there something? What is one thing that was like the biggest challenge, and maybe you sort of learned for yourself? Like, how has it helped you grow as a person, this journey so far?
Learning how to cook.
Okay.
So I worked at Google in San Francisco. So, I ate almost 3 meals a day at Google, and then remainder I would eat out on weekends. So I barely ever cooked at home. Versus now, we cook pretty much all meals. Like, we rarely go out and eat out, and we're cooking healthy food. So that has been very nice, I don't know, perk or like adulting that will be a skill that's useful for the remainder of our lives. And we now enjoy cooking, and we also cook more things from scratch. Like we have dry beans and we make them in Instant Pot, and we like now maybe Matt more so than me, but he's getting into more food like kind of preservation. So for example, we just got an air fryer lid for Instant Pot, so now we can run the dehydrator, so that we also have an air garden. We can grow herbs, so we can grow basil. Amazing. Then dehydrate the leaves, and then we have spices. Or we dehydrated garlic, and now we have, and then blended in the blender, and now we have garlic spice. So things like that, useful things that we're learning that will be useful for later in life. The first 6 months of the trip was interesting in learning how to be more adaptable to things happening or not happening. Like I think in previous in kind of working lives, it was a lot more structured. Like we do this weekend, and this is the schedule for the week, and so on. And we kind of had everything planned out for like 6 months later. And now when you start traveling, yes, you can reserve campsites 6 months in advance. But it turned out, things happen, like plans change, you meet the person, they recommend something else, or there's an event you want to go to, and like completely change your plans. I think maybe for Matt was a little bit harder to adjust to the idea that it's okay to change plans. It's okay to completely change where you're going. Like you don't have to stick to the plans that you set 6 months ago. So now, like we had rough plans for what we wanted to do this year, but during this situation, like all that changed, and it's okay. Like we hadn't booked actually anything that we had to cancel. So yeah, that's I think also a nice thing to have learned, to be able to be more adaptable.
Yeah, and like a little bit more agile, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So with the current pandemic, what does it look like for you? I mean, obviously, a lot of people are struggling with the feeling of uncertainty because nobody knows exactly, when it's going to end, or how, when can we go out and do different, normal things. So how is this affecting your the remainder of the trip? Are you gonna shorten it? Are you thinking about extending it, or what are you guys thinking?
So for us, there was never like an actual timeline of when we like stop RVing. It was just we're gonna be doing it until it's fun, and so far it's still fun, so we'll keep doing it. So yes, on one hand, like we can't visit the national parks, but we ended up being on sort of like kind of rhythm where we spent like maybe a month intensely visiting the parks, and then we spent some time kind of more working or like editing the videos, writing the blog posts, and then again like some period of time kind of traveling, and then working for a while. So now is just a time when we're spending more time to work, and it's like we have enough work to do that we still have stuff to do. So me personally, I don't mind it as much. Like if it goes on for, I don't know, a year, 2 years or something, like, yes, that will be different. But if it's, for a couple more months, then it's manageable. And we're starting to see that some places are starting to open up slowly. So it will be a little while, but it's manageable. And so one thing that we will do is we will remodel the RV. Since if we aren't sitting in one place, then we might as well do that. So yeah, we're finding plenty of things to do, even though we are sitting in one place.
So how long have you been in that one spot? You mentioned to me that you were like in your friend's backyard somewhere, or?
Yeah, so we first we were in Arizona, and we were in Arizona for, I don't know, 5-6 weeks or something. And then it was starting to get very, very hot. So we came to, so this is a friend's place that we're staying. It's a, private land, so there not that much restrictions, but we can be here for however many months we need to.
So, but I mean, how long have you, since like?
So it's 3 weeks since we came from Arizona.
Okay. So yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
And like our RV is comfortable. Like there's everything we need, and we have our laptops and everything. So you don't mind it.
Actually, speaking of laptops and the technology part of it, how when you are going somewhere which is like not near a major city, so what happens with like the Wi-Fi, cellular data and all of that stuff? How has that been for you?
It's been okay. So you have to be prepared, depending how much internet you need. So there are So we have our cell phones, and we have data plans for like Jetpack, and we have two. We have both Verizon and AT&T. So usually wherever we go, at least one of them will have a signal.
Connection.
And also, before we go places, there are websites where you can check like what kind of signal other people have had in that area. So then we kind of know and we can prepare ahead of time. So for us, so there are other people who live in RVs and they work from the road and they work 9-to-5 jobs, but they're remote. So they have to have the internet. For us, if we don't have it for a couple days, it's okay. We can do lots of things offline and then upload it when we have the internet. So we had stayed in a few places like that when we didn't have internet, but largely we have it.
Yeah. So you don't have that anxiety if you can't like go on Facebook in the next 5 minutes. Like it's gonna be a problem. Yeah, this is so cool. So you said that you're still enjoying this adventure. So you're not yet thinking about any next adventure you might come up with to do for yourself, no?
No, yeah, we're enjoying this. I mean, we have ideas of like we would like to do international travel and maybe like train travel, or maybe I would not so much, but I would like to cross the United States on a bicycle. But those are like all kind of shorter, and they maybe might get interspersed into kind of our longer adventure.
It reminded me of a documentary I watched years ago. I think we were still actually in Prague, so it was before we came to the States. But anyway, so yeah, there's a documentary with Ian McGregor and one of his friends, I forget his name. They did a road trip on motorcycles. They went from the UK to the United States, and that was an amazing thing to watch. Also like different challenges they had to go through, but they were traveling with like a crew, so that they would be on the motorcycles, but then there would be like a few what are they called, filmmakers, right? And no, the people to support them if there's like if they run into trouble. So, but it's a cool documentary to watch. I will try to find I mean I'll find it and I'll send it to you.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. Okay, so what else, what other fun things have you been doing while you were sort of sheltering in place during the pandemic?
Not really much.
Not really much.
No. We've been really sheltering in place. I have been going running like every other day. I go for a run. And then when we were in Arizona, I mean, there's like no one else out there at all. So that was super easy. Yeah. Eating at home, cooking, running, working,
reading.
Yep. Yeah. Watching lots of YouTube.
Do you have actually any inspirational channels that you can share? Like, what do you learn? Not what do you learn, but who do you learn from?
Yeah, totally. I have so I like to watch Kara and Nate. They are a couple in their 20s, maybe 30s now, and they travel all around the world. And they just completed visiting 100 countries. So that was their goal. And like in 4 years, they wanted to visit 100 countries, and they just finished that. And it's just super fun personalities, good storytelling, and I really like watching them. Then there is a Combi Life, which is they live in a van, and like his channel I've been watching for many years. He started with traveling in South America, going from the southern tip of South America, and eventually over the years he made it to Alaska. And then so Combi is type of Volkswagen van. So they then bought another one and they rebuilt it to be able to live in it full time. So now their goal is he was originally from UK to travel from Europe all the way to Australia, where the girl's from. So I've been following them, and then they have really nice. It's like really high quality documentary style travel adventure series. I'm learning a lot about storytelling from them. Then there is Keep Your Daydream. They live in RV, and they're one of the, I guess, kind of first inspirations for the sort of RV life side of things. And also really nice channel, very well done. They have built really, really nice community of kind of people around their channel. Another channel is Gone with the Winds. They used to live in an RV, but now they live on a sailboat and sail around the world. And they call themselves as modern documentarians, and I think it's a really apt name. And they also produce really nice videos with really nice storytelling.
That's so amazing, how people follow their dreams and just go for it and do it. What would you like, if anyone who's watching this now, if this may have been their dream as well, to just travel around either the country or the world, so from your experience and what you've learned so far, what would be your, I guess, tips how to get started on this? Like people are maybe having some fears or anxieties, how to overcome those.
Well, for me, what helped me is saving money ahead of time. That alleviates pretty much all the anxieties. Another one is do a test trip. So for example, I actually did 2 sabbaticals while I was Google. And for one of them, I traveled around the world for 3 months. I mean, that was a learning and growing experience. But at that point in my life, I decided, well, actually, I do really like working at Google, and I'll keep going back and working. Like, I don't want to travel full time. But then later, now I feel like, yes, I do want to travel full time. So doing smaller scale tests, and then, being able to kind of save up some money to have basically safety net if something does go wrong. That helps. Watching YouTube also helps. There are a lot of people doing all sorts of stuff, and just seeing how they're doing it and dealing with it, and seeing that, usually it's not that hard. And that's one big thing that Keep Your Daydream channel says. It's like, yes, you have these big dreams, and yes, you should have them, but like, don't wait 10 years, 20 years from now to start fulfilling them. How can you start doing it now? So for example, for them, originally, they wanted to live on a sailboat, but sailboats are very, very expensive. But for them, it was more about spending time as a family together. So then being in an RV and traveling around the US in an RV, you can spend time in with your family and make those memories together. So yeah, start small.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful, because yes, it's like I think when you look at somebody doing this, and it's like we also talk about this, right? And as you are starting a business, right, sometimes it's not helpful to look at somebody who is somewhere like 10 years ahead of you.
Absolutely, yes.
You look at somebody who may be like 2 or 3 years ahead of you. So yeah, start small and baby steps, and this is definitely helpful. But then I remember you told me, so you were both in San Francisco. You just put your stuff in storage, or like, what did you? Obviously, you don't have to pay rent right now, right? Which is a major expense for many people.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just put everything in storage and just took off.
Yeah. So we had a rental, like yearly lease, and then once we were kind of starting to think, okay, at some point this year we will do it. Then we had to move anyways, because that particular place, the landlord wanted his daughter was moving back in there. He wanted his daughter to live in the house, so we had to leave anyway. So we switched to a smaller place. So instead of 3-bedroom house, we moved into 1-bedroom apartment that was more rent, month to month. So then we could, break the lease anytime. So we did one portion of the downsizing from the 3-bed house into 1 apartment first, and then the second portion of 1-bed apartment into an RV. And yes, we put basically some stuff in storage. Any like IKEA and stuff we had, like that we sold because that's very easy to sell. Any sort of cloth, like furniture, sofas and stuff like that, we sold those because they may not keep in RV storage for that long. Other like kind of audio equipment or like more kind of, Matt had the very nice table, like we kept those in a small storage unit. So we pay for storage unit.
Yeah, more valuable items. And then you mentioned, so you're now, as you go along and you learn about business and accounting and all of those different things. So how do people actually who do this sort of full time, how do people monetize this?
I mean, there are many different ways, and for most people, you want to have multiple streams of income. You don't want to rely on a single thing. So if people have YouTube channels, one is monetizing YouTube channel, so letting ads show on the videos. I mean, that can be decent income if the channel is really big, but usually it's kind of not enough. Affiliate marketing, sponsorships. People eventually end up creating some sort of product or ebooks or stuff like that. Merch, that's another avenue. Some people end up creating courses, for example, like how to start a YouTube channel course. Some people like Kara and Nate, they now have a software product. It's about finding kind of super cheap fares from your airport, like getting alerts for like kind of mistake cheap fares. So yeah, there are like many different ways, and it kind of depends on you and what your skills and what you want to do. But usually, 3-4 different income streams. Oh, another fairly big one is Patreon. So it's where you can support people creating something. And a lot of YouTubers use it, but there are a lot of other people who create stuff for musicians and so on. So it's you can support a creator for like $1, $2, or $5, or $10, $20 a month. In exchange, you get some perks, which could be, you get a sticker or merch, or you get monthly updates from the creator, or you get a private group where you can all chat with the creator and each other. So there, quite a few different ways.
Yeah, that's amazing because so basically this means that people can, while enjoying and fulfilling their dream, they can actually make some money. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're vacationing the entire time, right?
Oh no, most people are working very hard. Like YouTube takes a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much. I think we're almost out of time. Thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me today. I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, we haven't seen each other in person in 2 years, right?
Yeah,
you
something
were here
like that.
in New York. Hopefully you'll be able to come here soon again.
Yeah, this year our plan was to go to East Coast, but now we'll have to see, what happens. But yeah, this was super fun. Thanks for having me over.
Yeah, of course. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I will put a link below this video how you can find Diana, but you can also find her on LinkedIn. Thank you again for tuning in, and there's a button below you can subscribe, because I'll be bringing more wonderful guests like Diana, and you will learn something new. Thank you. Bye.